Gosh, this is not the video that I thought we would be making about this guy. You see, the last time we had talked about him, we said, hey, he re-signed a contract with the Flyers. It was great. A lot of people were expecting him or hoping that he would sign soon. And when it comes to the way the Philadelphia Flyers have assembled their young guys, we've always sort of tossed this name in as one of the players that is projected to being a part of this team's next step. You talk about the Tyson Forresters, the Mishkovs, the Cutter Gauthiers. These are your wingers. These are your power sniper guys. Some of these, of course, are a little bit more power than others, but you kind of get the idea, right? And in the middle, you've got a few prospects, few young guys that could go out there and step up big time, and Morgan Frost was, in my opinion at least, the main guy to do that. However, after talking about Frost signing his contract extension, $2.1 million a year till the end of 2024-2025, he's gotten off to a pretty slow start. And here's an article on the fourth period from October 20th that explains what's happened. Questions surround Morgan Frost in Philadelphia. This article will be linked in the description if you want to go ahead and read it. It's from David Pagnotta, the fourth period. You know him, you love him, they do NHL trade rumors because Pagnotta is an insider. The Philadelphia Flyers are off to a solid start in 23-24, having won 3 of their first 4 games, which currently puts them atop the Metro Division. Again, this is back when the article was published. Things change quickly in the NHL. Through their hot start, though, Flyers head coach John Tortorella has elected to scratch young forward Morgan Frost in back-to-back games this week, and it's unclear whether the 24-year-old will be benched for Saturday's game in Dallas against the Stars. Well, this video was being recorded and published after that game, so I can tell you that he did indeed get scratched a third time. John Tortorella went out there and said this to The Athletic, that Frosty just needs to play better. And quite honestly, Frosty, I don't think he has played poorly. Other people have just played better. So that's a good thing. The article then talks about the profile here. Morgan Frost is a guy drafted out of the OHL, done his thing, first-round talent, 2017, we all know the drill. He had 46 points in 81 games last year, and this was a season that a lot of people, myself included, saw as the next step in his development. How Frost was this small-ish but shifty playmaking center in the OHL whose skills were finally starting to take over in the NHL. But his start in 23-24 has not been profitable. The article on the fourth period then writes this. According to multiple league sources, the Flyers dangled Frost as trade bait in the offseason, and as the fourth period reported at the time, the price tag was considered too high. Several teams, including the Montreal Canadiens and Ottawa Senators, expressed interest, and there's the belief that some teams recently made inquiries about his availability once more. The article then has another quote from Tortorella. If one young guy plays a good game and another one who sat out really didn't play poorly his last game, I'm not going to lose that guy. It's too important for us to find out information on players as we go through this year with some of the youth here. And so, essentially what Torts is saying is that there is an emphasis trying to be placed on making sure which young guys are being placed in the right positions and building off of momentum. It's not necessarily that Frost has been bad, but it's more so that other players have been a bit better, and he wants to keep rolling with those same guys. The article at the end then says that a trade is not imminent, but there are maybe some potential discussions that could escalate further. So, honestly, when it comes to these ideas, Morgan Frost is a player that I've been such a big fan of over the past few years that the idea of the Flyers giving up on him, trading him away, dangling him around as trade bait already, kind of rubs me the wrong way a little bit. I mean, I like Morgan Frost a lot. I'm very biased, for sure. But when it comes to playmaking centers that can do what it is that Morgan Frost did last year and hopefully get better as his career goes on, is this not the kind of guy that you want playing with a Matvei Mishkov when he is in his prime, when he is doing his 30, 40, 50-goal season stints in the NHL? I get it, you just got Sean Couturier back, and that's awesome, but Morgan Frost so far, I mean, sure, he's got 0 points in the 2 games he did play, leading to 3 straight scratches, but this is a guy who was never gonna have it easy in the first place. I mean, he's only 5'11", he already had a season in the NHL where he was pretty good, so why not try to capitalize or allow him to breathe a little bit? I mean, okay, is it more likely that the Philadelphia Flyers continue doing this great, and they continue winning games, and they continue just forcing themselves onto the opponents and taking over, beating high offense caliber teams like Vancouver 2-0, for example, is it more likely that the Flyers go out there and dominate the rest of the season and Morgan Frost is never able to get playing time because of it? Probably not. We all kind of acknowledge the Flyers are not really in that super competitive window right now. Of course, the wins at the beginning of the season are nice, and we're definitely open to seeing this team succeed in the short term, but it's not really a projectable long-term-ish kind of thing, which is why I'm seeing a lot of Flyers fans saying, hey, you just gotta wait, like, Morgan Frost is gonna have time. There are 82 games in the regular season, there have only been 5 or 6 played so far, Morgan Frost is gonna have his opportunity. But of course, if this does not happen, if he sits out a little bit more and there are some trade conversations that end up being explored, I wanted to talk about these other teams too. Because the fourth period laid out the Montreal Canadiens as well as the Ottawa Senators as two teams that have already dipped their fingers into the Morgan Frost sweepstakes. They were asking, they were interested. And for this, I kind of say, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. From the Montreal Canadiens' point of view, this is a team that has been just kind of going after whomever it is that could be available and that are young guys, able to play center, maybe able to play on the wing. You got Newhook, you got Doc already acquired on this team. There's a versatility there with these guys who can play center but who could also play elsewhere. And for Morgan Frost, while he mostly has been a center the entire time, he has excelled to a reasonable extent in that role. Therefore, you have to wonder, let's say Morgan Frost gets acquired by Montreal, where do you put him in the lineup? You put him behind Suzuki, of course. If you have Newhook or Doc on any of the other center spots, and you put Frost somewhere in the bottom 6, is that really using him to the best of his ability? Do you move some of these other centers to the wing? You try to have a young-ish kind of top 6 with Suzuki, Caulfield, Slafkovsky, Doc, Newhook, and Frost? That sounds pretty good, honestly. Like, if you had told me that was going to be a top 6 back in 2020 or whatever, I would have been like, yeah, that's a great top 6. I personally don't know who Slafkovsky is because it was 2020 at the time. He was only drafted later, but the point remains. Same could be said about the Ottawa Senators. Now, they have their own center issues that have been sort of rounding themselves out. You still have to re-sign Shane Pinto at the time of recording this audio. There is Tim Stützle, there is Josh Norris. But if you wanted to move some of these guys to the wing, you wanted to force that left flank type of material for a sniper like Norris, then that's an idea that honestly sounds like it could work. Long story short, just in my personal opinion, playmaking centers alongside of whichever snipers you wanted to put them with, it's a pretty good combo. And as a result, for teams that are in that kind of rebuilding, retooling stage, like Montreal, like Ottawa, trying to acquire a guy who is 24 years old and coming off of a 46-point year does sound like a good idea, especially if you're of the belief like me that Morgan Frost can become better. And many Flyers fans are not necessarily agreeing, saying that they need to trade him, but they're saying, yeah, I mean, we've been winning. It's been good. We looked really strong in the games that we have had dubs in, and it's not like Morgan Frost got off to the best start anyway, so sitting him out for now, waiting till the team calms down a little bit and starts losing a few more games, then we'll put him back in the lineup, we'll see what he's about, and then he can start doing his thing. If he really wanted to force his way onto the lineup now, when the team is in the midst of this pretty big winning span, then he's got to play better in practice, he's got to show off that he's a little bit stronger than the other guys that are in instead. At least, that's what I've gathered from the Tortorella comments. You can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about the Morgan Frost scratching situation and the trade rumors that followed up in this same article? How, yes, there were conversations about him getting moved earlier in the offseason. Montreal, Ottawa, these teams checked in. If you're a Habs or a Sens fan, what is it that you want to trade away in order to get a guy like Morgan Frost into your team? Do you even want Morgan Frost onto your team? If you're a Flyers fan, what is the least amount of assets you would accept in return for Morgan Frost from Montreal, from Ottawa? What are your thoughts about this entire trade idea? What assets would you like to pursue in a trade involving Frost? Do you even want to trade Frost away? I like this guy a lot, but how is the Philadelphia Flyers fanbase responding? I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about this Frost situation? I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.